Hi everyone, in this video we're going to begin working through the workbook exercises for Chapter 5, and this will be the first in a series of videos that you can access where we will be looking at each of the individual workbook exercise problems as we go through those. But to begin in this video specifically, we're going to look at AP2B. And here in AP2B, we've got the problem listed out here. It says, this is our company, however you pronounce that, Shugoi something, manufacturing, borrowed $75,000 from the bank on November 1st, 2018, and we must repay the loan principal and interest on February 1st, 2019. And so the bank charges an annual interest rate of 6%. And so we need to prepare the adjusting entry to accrue the interest on December 31st, which is our year end. And it notes that we have not accrued any interest before December 31st, 2018. So we're going to book one entry to accrue that interest, and that whole period is going to be from November 1st to December 31st. So basically two months. And then we're going to record a second journal entry to reflect the payment of the loan principal and interest on February 1st, 2019. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and write out some of the specifics here. So the principal of the loan was $75,000. I'm just going to kind of put these notes in here. The interest rate, move that over, is, 6%. So 0.06, or you can push the percentage formatting there if you'd like. And so that means our annual interest expense is just the principal times the interest rate, or $4,500. So we would be paying $4,500 in interest. I'm going to copy and paste this down and then change annual to monthly. And we can just take that annual divided by 12, and we can now see that on a monthly basis, it's $375 per month of interest expense, as long as the full amount of principal outstanding is the $75,000. Okay. Now, let's take a look here. I'm going to write out the months. So we have November, December, and then it's going to go in, I'll put the year off to the side here. So these are both 2018. And I just want to really write this out, make sure you all have a good understanding of what we're doing with interest and accruals and all that. One thing you can do also in Excel, at least it usually works, let's see if it works in this instance, is you can highlight this November, December. I've left click, highlight both those cells, and then you can go down in the corner there, see how it turns into kind of the black cross, and hold left and then drag down, and it will fill in the months. Excel knows how to fill out to continue putting the months in there. So that's kind of a quick way to put all the months in. And why I'm doing this is I just want to show you really clearly how long are we, do we have this loan out essentially. And so I guess, okay, we don't need those months because we borrowed the money on the very 1st of November, and we're going to repay it on the 1st of February. So really we don't need February, because essentially we're not going to accrue any interest in that month because it's being repaid on the first day of that month. So really, in other words, it's being repaid just with January there. Okay, and then we could just put our equal signs for our monthly accruals of expense per month. And so you can see, and I'll put a little header in it just to show us here, interest expense. Okay, so we're incurring $375 of interest expense per month based on all the variables that we put in above. And now let's fill out our journal entries. So the first entry, or the first requirement of the problem, is to record our December 31st interest accrual entry. So as I mentioned, again, we haven't accrued any interest until the end of December. So basically the amount of interest that we'll need to accrue at December is for the 2 months of November and December. So it'll be 750, which I put this little formula in. And so we can just link over to that. And we can say interest expense. And then remember that we're going to use interest payable as this new kind of to accrue interest. We'll just put that this new payable. It's just like accounts payable. You know, it's a liability. It follows the same conventions as any other liability. So a credit is an increase. And basically what we're saying now is as of December 31st, in the year of 2018, we've incurred $750 of interest expense, and now we're putting that into the year there, so we have that expense in 2018. And the aggregation of all those amounts that we owe is $750, and we're going to have to pay that eventually. And so let's take a look at the second part of this, which we're actually going to record the payment of loan principal and interest, like I said, on February 1st. So it's really just one more month, January, because we're paying this back right at the beginning of February. So we're going to have a few different things that are going to happen. The first one I'm going to just put in, maybe I don't want to put that in. The cash, actually, let's put in last. Notes payable is going to be the first one I want to put in here, because we are going, it tells us in the problem that we're going to fully repay the loan principal and interest here on February 1st. Oh, actually, let me put this down here. There we go. And so the principal is $75,000. So we're gonna pay that as part of our repayment. We're gonna need to pay this payable, the amount that we owe related to the 2018 expense. We're going to debit that as well to get that to go away. We're gonna pay that off basically. And then we've got 1 month of interest expense here from in 2019 for January, and so that is going to be this amount here. And then you can see the total is let's see, what did that come out to? So it was 1,125 is the total interest. So we add that to 75,000, we get 76,125 that we're going to make as a total payment of cash. And we'll say to pay loan and interest. So at this point, it was a short-term borrowing. We just had it for 3 months. And in that 3 months time, you can see the bank has earned, you know, on their side, they've earned revenue. They've earned 1,125. We've incurred $1,125 of expense. And the accrual that we did here with the payable allows us to put 2/3 of that in the right year of 2018, and then 1/3 of that in 2019, to kind of separate out those expense charges and make sure that they get into the right year, essentially. Okay, so hopefully that's helpful to see it kind of laid out and understand some of the different components of principal, interest, you know, annual interest rate, how that's, or expense, how the monthly comes from the annual, and then we can lay out exactly how many months was this loan outstanding, and therefore how many months of interest expense did we incur, and we've accounted for that appropriately. All right, great. Well, that's AP 2B. Join me in the next video and we will work through AP 10B. All right, thanks everyone.